So this is a recorded video of your topic accounting changes. We have two main categories of accounting changes. This it is called change in accounting estimate and change in accounting policy. So, unahin muna natin yung change in accounting estimate. So, pag sinabi nating change in accounting estimate, kaya nagkakaroon ng change in accounting estimate, it is because there are certain changes such as uncertainties in businesses na nagre-require for the management to tweak yung ng konti yung on how they treat things, okay? So, pag sinabi nating accounting estimates, ang application po nito ay prospectively, okay? Ibig sabihin, i-effect mo siya kung kailan nagkaroon ng desisyon, okay? So, for instance, from since establishment ng business, ang ginagamit na depreciation method ng company is straight line method. And then, starting 2024, ang gagamitin na daw is sum of the years digit. So, ang mangyayari, i-apply mo yung application ng sum of the years digit is starting lang ng 2024. Okay? So, anong steps kapag gumagawa tayo ng change in accounting estimate? Okay. So, from the date of the decision, kailangan malaman mo kung magkano yung carrying value nung ginagawan mo ng change in accounting estimates. And then, kapag nalaman mo na yung change in yung carrying value ng asset, doon mo start yung application ng change in accounting estimate. Like for instance, meron kang asset na binili that has been depreciated for the useful life of the asset is 5 years. Okay. And then, on its 6th year, bago mag 6th year, napag-decide ng management na kailangan baguhin yung depreciation method from straight line to sum of the years. So, at the end of year 5, kailangan malaman mo muna kung ano yung magiging carrying value. Alright? Okay? And then, kapag nalaman mo na yung magiging carrying value, ito na yung magiging basis ng straight line method mo. Okay? So, i-depreciate mo siya, 5 years na lang, kasi 5 years na lang yung natitira. 10 years yung useful life. Okay? Or paano naman kapag kunwari, bumili ka ng property. Nung binili mo yung property, ang estimated useful life nun is 10 years. Okay? Tapos, pag at the end of year 5, nakita nyo na yung property or yung asset will only last for 3 years. Okay? So, nagkaroon ka ng change sa useful life. So, paano mo siya i-depreciate? So, ang kailangan mong gawin, again, you have to determine kung magkano yung carrying value at year 5, and then, nakita mo na lumiit yung kanyang useful life. Sabihin mo, 3 years na lang yung magiging useful life from the decision instead of another 5 years kasi 10 years. Diba? Kunin mo muna yung carrying value, saka mo i-divide by 3 para malaman mo kung ano yung magiging subsequent na depreciation expense for that asset. So those are your examples of your accounting estimates. Okay. Other examples are your bad debts, inventory obsolescence, change in useful life, na-discuss natin to, residual value, warranty cost, saka fair value of financial assets and financial liabilities. Again, ang steps, determine the carrying value. Tapos number 2, i-effect mo na yung change using carrying value as new basis. Okay. So how to report a change in accounting estimate? Change in accounting estimate, if the period of change, if the change affects that period only, and the period of change in future periods, if the change affect both. Again, prospectively application natin. So, punta tayo sa illustration. Madali lang actually itong topic na to. For example, a depreciable asset costing 500,000 is estimated to have a useful life of 5 years. At the beginning of the third year, the original life is changed to 8 years. Again, from 5 years, naging 8 years, giving the asset a remaining life of 6 years. The procedure is not to correct past depreciation. Instead, remaining carrying value of 300,000, 500 minus 200,000 depreciation is now allocated over 6 years or a subsequent annual depreciation of 50,000 pesos. So again, tingnan natin. So ang cost ng asset is 500, useful life is 5 years. So ang depreciation niyan is 100K each year. Okay? So at the beginning of the third year daw, okay? Gets nyo? So meron na tayong year 1 at saka year 2 na tig 100K. So total of 200K na accumulated depreciation. At the beginning of year 3, you have to determine kung ano yung carrying value. Carrying value is cost less accumulated depreciation. So you have carrying value beginning of year 3 amounting to 300,000. Okay. Tapos, beginning of year 3, sabi, babaguhin daw yung original life to 80 years. Lumipas na yung 2 taon. So, natitira na lang natin 6 years. Yung 6 years na buhay na yun yung ngayong maghahati dito sa carrying value. Okay? Divide natin by 6. Ibig sabihin, ang depreciation expense per year is now 50,000. Okay? So, at the end of year 3, ang value niya is 300,000 minus yung depreciation ng year 3 na 50,000. Ang value na lang ng ating asset is now 250K. At the end of year 4, it will now be 200,000. Okay, so nag-iiba. Okay? Kasi 50K na lang yung depreciation compared doon sa dati na 100K. So again, tama yung ginagawa natin na you have to identify magkano ba yung carrying value, kung kailan sila nag-decide. And then number 2, to effect the change using the carrying value as the new basis. Carrying value natin ng beginning of year 3 is 300,000 pesos. Okay? So, ganun lang siya mag-work. Okay? Paano kapag, for instance, change in depreciation method? O, alamin mo muna yung carrying value. And then from pag nalaman mo na yung carrying value, gamitin mo na ngayon yung bagong depreciation method. Okay? Paano naman kapag change in estimation ng allowance for doubtful accounts? Kailangan malaman mo muna yung carrying value ng AR. Tapos, kunwari, ang naging basis nila is percent from percentage of sales to percentage of AR. Alamin mo muna yung AR. And then, i-multiply mo kung ano yung percentage to AR para makuha mo yung required allowance. Alamin mo kung magkano yung current na allowance for doubtful accounts. I-compare mo dun sa requirement, yun yung magiging adjustment mo. Okay? Next. Punta tayo sa accounting policies. Mabilis lang to. Actually, pag ito yung topic, accounting estimates and accounting policies, dalawa lang ang lumalabas sa tanong dyan kung ano yung pagkakaiba nila in terms of application. Accounting estimate is prospective, ibig sabihin hindi affected yung past, and while your accounting policies is retrospective. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mong i-correct yung past. "Ma'am, kailangan po ba naming i-open yung books namin?" Kunwari 2024 na ngayon, nagkaroon ng change in accounting policy. Kailangan bang buksan niyo pa yung 2023, 2022, 2021? The answer is no. Kailangan malaman mo lang kung ano yung effect nung change na 'to at saka mo ia-apply dun sa 2024 financial statements, beginning balances, okey? Beginning balances, as if na nag-took effect yung policy since the beginning, okey? Like for example, ginagawa natin 'to sa auditing, 'di ba? Kapag kunwari may mali kang na-record or example na lang natin, nagbago ka ng, um, method of costing, FIFO at saka weighted average, okey? Hindi mo na bubuksan at iko-correct yung inventory nung mga nakaraang taon. I-correct mo na lang, kunwari from FIFO, ang value nung inventory mo ay 5,000,000 pero 'pag weighted average yan, ang value niyan is 4,500,000. So, beginning of the year ng 2024, i-correct mo na, okey? Gawin mong ang beginning inventory mo 4,500,000. I-adjust mo na, okey? It's as if in-apply mo na yung changes from the beginning, okey? So, change in accounting policy, okey. Ang change in accounting estimate mas madalas siya compared sa change in accounting policy. Kasi ang change in accounting estimate is nagkamali ka lang sa estimation. Pero kasi sa change in accounting policy, medyo mas mabigat ito. It roots towards change in accounting standards or changes in interpretation of particular accounting standard. Or the change is affected because it will result to a more relevant and faithful representation of your financial statements. So ano ba yung mga examples ng change in accounting policy? Number one is yung change ng inventory pricing. Kasi inventory ang involved dito, eh, okey? Pangalawa is yung change in method of accounting long-term construction contracts. I'm not sure pero madi-discuss niyo kasi ang construction contracts sa special transactions sa I think next semester yata. And then yung change ng pag-value ng inyong assets, yung from cost model to fair value model and so on. Okay. So, again, it is applied retrospectively. Okay, 'pag sinabing retrospectively, iko-consider mo na as if yung policy have been effected from the beginning. Okay. So, punta tayo sa illustration. Okay, sorry. An entity has used the FIFO inventory valuation method since it began operations in 2022. The entity changed to the weighted average method for determining inventory costs at the beginning of 2023. The following schedule shows year-end inventory balances. Dali lang, Okay. Okay. So, ano bang instance natin? Initially daw yung entity gumagamit ng FIFO method. 2022 ang value ng kanyang inventory is 1,000,000 and then in 2023, it's 1.5 at ang katumbas nun, if weighted average ang ginamit, 750 in 2022 and then 2023, that's 1.2 million. Okay? So, okay. So, sabi, in 2023 babaguhin daw natin from FIFO to weighted average. Okay. So, for instance, at the end of 2022 dapat ito na yung ginamit natin na inventory amount. So, ito yung magiging beginning ng 2023. Mas lesser siya for the amount of 250,000. Okay? Ang ang adjustment to inventory kapag babaguhin mo siya, so again kailangan mong bawasan yung inventory. Credit yan sa inventory beginning 250K. Kapag close na yung books ng prior year, 'di ba, turo ko sa inyo is i-debit niyo siya sa retained earnings. So, 250,000. Corrected na ba pagdating ng 2023? The answer is yes. Kinorek mo siya beginning ng 2023 pa lang. Ngayon, so bumaba na yung value ng iyong inventory beginning. Okay. Hmm. May kasunod yan dito eh. Sige, sige. Okay? So, beginning pa lang ng 2023, kailangan mo na siyang i-correct. Right? Sige. From earliest practicable. Hindi mo na kailangang baguhin yung prior years, i-apply mo na lang siya with the current year. Kailangan mo lang kunin yung effect, net impact niya from the current year. Paano ma'am kapag 2024 ngayon? Ay 2025 na ngayon, malapit na 2025, 'di ba? Pero bubukas pa yung books mo ng 2024. I-apply mo muna siya dun sa 2024 kasi bukas pa naman yung books. Okay. Punta tayo sa prior period errors. So, prior period errors, these are omissions or misstatements in the financial statements. So, pag sinabing omissions, hindi na isama. Pag sinabing misstatements, ito ay nagkaroon ka ng error or mistake. Kulang ng zero, okay? It's either ganun yung mga examples ng omissions and misstatements. I think na-discuss na rin natin 'to before, how to treat prior period errors. Tatandaan niyo yung may counterbalancing and non-counterbalancing errors, 'di ba? Okay. So, ganun lang din siya. Also you have to take note of this one. Prior period errors shall be corrected retrospectively kasi kailangan mong i-adjust yung opening balance ng retained earnings. Okay, na-discuss na natin 'to, to be honest, nung pinag-aralan natin yung counterbalancing and non-counterbalancing error. Ewan ko bakit inulit nila dito. Okay, punta tayo sa illustration. In 2024, an entity discovered that certain goods sold in 2023 were incorrectly included in December 31, 2023 inventory of 300,000 pesos. Okay. So the adjustment in December 2024 to correct the prior period error will be debit to retained earnings and then credit to January 1 beginning inventory of 300,000 pesos. Okay? So accordingly, and then sabi sa records ng 2024, meron siyang sales na 500,000 at saka 300,000 na cost of goods sold. Eh ma'am, bakit tayo nagkaroon ng journal entry? Eh di ba pag adjustment ng inventory, they are considered as counterbalancing error. Okay, the thing is, Counterbalancing error siya kapag close na yung parehong books. Dito, 2024 is not yet close. So, kailangan mong gawin yung adjustment. Okay? So, debit ka ng retained earnings, 300,000, and then credit ka ng inventory, January 1, beginning 300,000. Ngayon, ano mangyayari? Bababa yung, rather, is tataas yung net income ng company. Kasi, yung 300,000 will now affect your cost of goods sold. Kasi 'di ba, ang computation ng cost of goods sold involves your beginning inventory. In this case, binawasan mo yung beginning inventory mo eh. Okay? So, ang impact niya sa cost of goods sold will be to decrease as well. Okay? Yung value ng cost of goods sold mo, mas mababa compare dun sa nasa records mo na 300,000. Thus, it will be considered as additional income on your part. Okay? So, ano yung mga points na lalabas sa exam ninyo for, mag-focus lang kayo sa accounting for, um, accounting changes, and accounting policy. My favorite problems here is yung nagcha-change ng depreciation method, nagcha-change ng useful life, yung gano'n. Yung nag-e-extend, nagle-lessen ng useful life. Hanapin niyo yung mga problem na yun dun sa reviewer ni Valix. And for change in accounting policy, dun lang tayo mag-focus sa, ano ba example natin? Change in inventory and estimation. Practice kayo ng mga problems na may change in inventory estimation. Yun lang for this topic. This is a very short discussion kasi madali lang po yung topic na 'to.